guys, welcome back. So today I'm out at the range with a truck gun. I talk about truck guns all the time. I like to keep a firearm, a long arm, in the Jeep, so especially when I'm traveling out of state. I'd really like to have a long arm. A lot of times that will be a 9mm carbine or a pistol with a brace. Well, here is the KelTec Sub-2000. This is the unicorn gun that everybody wants, but so many people can't get. This is a Gen 2, and they are shipping, and they're producing thousands of them. But they're in such high demand, it's kind of hard to find one on the gun shop walls. So this little guy right here folds in half. Okay, it's just like the Gen 1, but it has some updated parts like this M-Lok rail and 1913 rail handguard on the Gen 2. But the little gun folds in half like this, has a little release. You can unfold it, and the charging handle's right back here. And they have various different versions of the gun. This one uses Glock magazines. Hey, check that out. It actually uses Glock magazines. This one does use Glock magazines, and again, this is the Gen 2. Now, one thing I want to point out really quick, I know you guys are going to comment on this in the comments down below. The Gen 2, nothing fancy, tested it getting close to a year ago now, and the Gen 2 he had worked great for him for a little while, then he started to have problems with the front sight post. KelTec tells me they've remedied that. They took his input and made a fix, so you shouldn't have any more problems with the front sight post. I don't know yet. I've only put maybe 500 rounds to the gun so far, so I have to do a lot more extensive testing to find out if that's indeed fixed. But what KelTec did do on the Gen 2 is put a 1913 rail here and M-Lok rail sections on the side, as I mentioned. That allows you to mount red dot sights. Well, sort of, because if you put a red dot sight here, what happens when you pull the trigger guard down and fold the gun in half? Well, it ain't going to fold in half if you have a red dot sight mounted up there. Well, Midwest Industries has been thinking about that problem, and they've come up with a solution, and I want to show you the solution that they came up with. But right now, let's do a little bit of shooting with this guy, and then we'll get to the new sight. All right, so let's take a look at the KelTec Sub-2000 with a red dot sight installed. You're probably thinking right about now, yeah. Well, check this out. I'm going to go ahead and grab my red dot sight. I'm going to rotate it out of the way. Oh, check that out. Now I can open it up, rotate my sight back into line, and lo and behold, I have a red dot sight on my Gen 2 KelTec Sub-2000. Oh yeah, and this is my second one. I found two of them in within a day of each other, and I wound up getting them both. This one, I think, was done through a special distributor. This showed up at Bly's Sports Shop in Valparaiso, Indiana. And the second it went on the wall, I put it on my wall. This one has a two-tone finish, and I've never seen one before, and I actually thought this two-tone finish was really cool. This one has a G17 magazine, or pistol grip, I should say, on it. The other one, the black one we saw at the beginning of the video, has a G19 grip on it, so it uses all 9mm Glock magazines, and this one uses G17 or extended magazines like what we commonly refer to as the Happy Stick, okay? Also, because it is a 1/2x28 thread here on the end of the gun, it has a muzzle nut when it ships from the factory. I have a tri-lug adapter from Griffin Armament on here. I have put a little washer here. That's critical. I found that out. Without that washer, the can simply won't align. Put that washer on there, put my tri-lug adapter on there, and now, Optimus 9 time. You guys know I love suppressing everything, so now I got the Optimus 9 on here. Have my red dot sight set up. It's a primary arms red dot. And I have some really crappy, I've come to learn, Winchester steel-cased ammo. It's really affordable, but holy cow, guys, talk about wildly inaccurate. This stuff out of my handguns, out of the Sub-2000, pretty much everything I've shot it in so far, will shoot little groups like that to begin with, and then it'll have a wild shot go 3 feet off to the left or right. So we're going to use some Federal ammo a little bit later. We're just burning this stuff up. Now, one thing you'll notice here, check this out, I'll explain this a little bit more detail here in a little bit. But you see this little string? This comes in the kit. That's to keep your charging handle from going forward when it's in the stored position. I'll show you why that's important, that you lock this back. All right, charge around. And let's see, you know what? I don't need these anymore. Freedom! Here we go. Here we go. That shot went like a foot to the left. Oh, you're here? You're not supposed to see that. Let's take a look at how this voodoo works. Here's my unmodified Sub-2000. I'm gonna leave this one in its purest form here. Again, this one has the G19 grip on it, so you'll see it's just a little bit shorter than the other one. What's nice about this version is that you can run pretty much every 9mm Glock magazine or drum in existence. This is my G17. This is the one I've decided to mod up. All right, so I have it suppressed, and here is the Midwest Industries mount. All right, so here's how it works. You'll notice, now first of all, let's talk about the sight height. The factory sight height I found on these things is too low. I'm really pressing my cheek down against this tube to get a sight picture. I've also, on both of these guns, had to turn my front sight post down to get the elevation properly set, which makes me push my cheek even harder against this tube to get a proper sight picture. So I would say that the factory sights on these set just a little bit too low for my tastes. Now some might say that this is setting too high. It certainly looks like it is, but once you get it into your shoulder, it's actually fairly natural. It might be just a scotch too high, but it's a lot more comfortable than the sight height of the factory Kel-Tec sights. So I'm gonna go ahead and say I like where it sets. It may look a little bit awkward, but that height is necessary so that when you rotate it out of the way simply by twisting it and flipping it over and then tucking it away for storage, that it clears everything. So I think it works just fine. I actually like it. Again, maybe just a hair too high. Now this little string that I talked about, this is because the charging handle right now is locked. It's kind of like a HK style recess. You pull the charging handle to the rear and rotate it over to the side and it locks the bolt back. All right, and you need to have the bolt locked back, obviously, so you can put your sight there, because if you don't, now you can rotate the sight either way, by the way, it'll clear, but you rotate out of the way, and if I let this go home, you'll see that you're not gonna be able to put your sight away. So what you also don't want it doing is slapping home going forward and whacking the lens of your sight when you have it stored. So this little string that comes in the box, you just tie it off and put it on there, and then if this becomes dislodged, it won't break the lens on your red dot sight. So that's how it works, man. It's just that simple. It just rotates and it seems to hold zero. Now you're not gonna win a long range competition with this setup, okay? If you push on it because it's spring loaded, you'll probably get a little bit of movement, but it always settles back to zero. I've noticed no matter how many times I twist it or which direction I twist it, it seems to be going right back to zero at the, we're probably about 30, no, not 30 yards, I'm sorry, about 15 yards away from the target so far. So rotate it, take your safety off when you get ready to shoot, but just unfold the gun, rotate this back into the shooting position, take your safety off, chamber the round, and it's ready to go. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool, and you can see that it doesn't really change the overall gun too much, and it's just a real simple installation. What you do, it comes with written instructions. You put it on the 4th M-Lok rail section to the rear. You can put it on either left or right hand side, and then it's just 2 M-Lok screws, just locks right down, literally takes a couple of minutes to install. And it's available as a single standalone unit, or you can buy it for a package deal with the primary arms red dot sight that you see on here. Again, just rotates. You'll see it from a different angle here. Goes all the way around. Doesn't matter which direction you turn it. And there's like a little V block right here that when it settles down, the spring pulls it down, it goes back to zero. That little V block will naturally re-zero it. Again, not going to win a long-range competition with it, but it does go back to punching steel right pretty much dead center every single time so far. But we'll do a lot more testing with it. I am going to leave this on this rifle, and I've been shooting the snot out of this rifle, and I will also say both of these little guys have been 100% reliable, even with what I deem to be relatively bad ammunition. I mean, this is the cheapest stuff I found. This is the Winchester steel case stuff. My guess is that Winchester's buying the steel cases from some source in Russia and then loading them here in the United States, or maybe they're getting the whole thing made overseas and importing it. It's dirt cheap ammo, but yeah, wildly inconsistent so far in my testing. I bought this stuff from my local gun shop because it was affordable. A 750 round case is about 130 bucks. Yeah, but the trade-off is, man, wild shots, feet off aim. What I really like to shoot the most is this Federal American Eagle. This stuff is actually courtesy of Federal. I was buying this stuff for many years. It's affordable. It's not quite as cheap as the steel case stuff, but it's consistently accurate, and it's a very clean ammunition, so I really like the American Eagle stuff. All right, the other thing I'll quickly comment about is, you may have seen this already in the video, this is an ETS group happy stick. They also make them in regular G19 and G17 sizes, and this is a standard factory Glock magazine. The ATS Group stuff is polymer, does not have steel reinforcements, but it's a harder polymer than the Glock magazine, and it's transparent so you can actually see the rounds in the magazine. Again, so far, I've had 100% function with these ETS Group magazines. Stick around for further comments on how these are holding up. I've left one of them loaded for about 6 months now, and this is actually the magazine I left loaded for 6 months before I brought it out this afternoon. And again, no problems, no feed lip deformation, nothing. So far, a rock solid magazine. All right, let's do some more shooting. All right, I'm gonna load a few more rounds here. And we're gonna twist the sight around a few times and then go back to shooting the steel plate at about 50 yards. And that should be enough. All right. Go that way, go that way, and let's see if we can hit steel. All right. I will say that little tiny narrow trigger is not the most comfortable little trigger I've ever used, but we've probably fired 300 or 400 rounds this afternoon. Say you're walking your property and you trip and fall and oh, that happens. Alrighty then. Yeah, see that's why red dot sights can be a bit of a problem, so I'm gonna wipe that off and see if we can hit steel. Oh, I turned my sight off. Yeah, let's turn that back on. Yeah, I would say she holds 0. I just want to remind you guys that come July 13th, 2016, the trust law in the United States is going to change, and it's going to make it more difficult to purchase or manufacture NFA items. It's going to require everybody on a trust to submit to background checks, which will probably drive the wait times up to where they currently are for individual transfers, which are about 9 months or more. So what we do know is the trust law changes are not going to reduce the wait time. They're more likely to increase them. So if you want to get a trust and get that paperwork started, now's the time. Silencer Co. is offering their Easy Trust online for $129, but if you use the code Easy Trust 10, you'll be able to knock 10% off that price. Now's the time to do it, guys. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed coming out, checking out the new Midwest Industries T1 micro mount. This is a T1 micro mount, or any red dot sight that uses a T1 micro base. These sights are made out of aluminum. They retail without the Primary Arms Advanced Micro Dot sight for $99.99, and they should be on sale now by the time you see this video. You can also buy them from Midwest Industries with the mount and the Advanced Micro Dot Red Dot sight included for a package price of $239. Overall, it seems to be about the only real solution to keeping your red dot sight mounted to your KelTec Sub-2000 and still being able to fold it and store it like it was intended to be used. So, if you guys have any questions about anything you've seen in this video, you can ask those questions down below. I usually stick around for the first couple of days after a video goes live to answer all the questions you guys may have. And if you don't already, please do swing by and check out Copper Custom. It's our online store, and shop there. It really does help out here at the Military Arms Channel. And be sure to check out full30.com. That's full30.com. We've taken all the web's best firearms content creators, brought them under one roof, and that is full30.com. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and hooray, it uses Glock magazines. We'll talk to you guys soon. Yes, I play video games. Yes, I play on the Xbox One and the PS4. If you can figure out my gamer tag, send me a friend invite. I'll play video games with you. I'm not going to give you guys any idea what my gamer tag is, but it should be searchable and somewhat obvious, at least on one of the networks. But because I play video games so much in the evenings when my wife is asleep and my kids are asleep because they hog the consoles, I like to dual wield. Because I got 2 Sub-2000s and I got 2 hands, God made me this way to do this. And that wonderful Winchester stuff finally caused me a malfunction. Dang it. Oh. Actually, I think the Winchester stuff is binding up in this magazine. Joy killer.